welcome to another episode of the High Grade Podcast. It's your girl Chanel.
And also Chanel.
And today we've got another special guest with us. Introduce yourself.
Hi guys, I'm Taiyla. I'm at the University of Warwick right now, going into my final year. And I know Chanel because we went to the same secondary school.
Woo.
Just before we start, what are you studying at Warwick?
Management.
Okay, so any of you out there looking to study management or wanting to go to the University of Warwick, hit up Taiyla.
We'll
I'll
put
be happy
her
to
out at the end of the video, so I'm sure you can get in touch with her. I'm sure she'll answer.
Mm-hmm. I'm friendly, I promise.
So today we are going to talk about
Not letting your upbringing define you and hold you back, I guess.
Okay.
So I guess from me speaking to you, and I think from working in a school, and I've basically seen like two different types of kids or two different categories, and I'd say like there's some kids who know that they're from like the ends, the gutter, whatever you want to call it, and they use that as, no, I'm trying to get out of here, I want to like provide a better life for my family, this kind of thing. And then you have the complete other side of the spectrum, and they're like, my family's disadvantaged, poor, whatever word you want to use, and because of that I don't have access to all of these opportunities. So you know what, I'm just going to be almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm just going to, my teachers call me bad, my teachers tell me I'm never going to get anywhere in life, and that's what is my truth, basically. So like, I've seen it for myself, and I feel like a lot of people use their background or use how they were brought up or use their lack of whatever, resources, networks, whatever, as a reason why they are in the position that they're in now, which I think is like completely it's just bizarre to me.
I think it's very detrimental in general, because obviously not everyone's wired like this, but what you should be doing is using that unique driver to get you to those places that people have told you you can't get to. And it's only hindering you to just sit and be wallowing in self-pity, like, yes, I know I didn't have the silver spoon in my mouth the whole time when I was born, and you know, just I don't know, it's very frustrating, because when I see people come from a similar background to me and they're not trying to make something better of themselves, I'm like, you're just giving in to those rich white people that are looking at you like, oh, this little black boy from South London isn't going to do anything with his life, and you shouldn't want to, you know, play into that.
And your background, just so that our viewers have a better understanding, what would you, or how would you class your background? If I said to you, tell me about your background in a minute, what would you say?
So I had both my parents growing up, and we lived in South London for like most of my childhood. They're both very hardworking. They didn't go through the traditional route of university, A-levels and stuff. They stopped at GCSEs and then just went straight into it. Always had what I needed, but I knew my friends would have A, B and C, and I would be like, oh, mum and dad, why can't I go to this trip or this trip? And it would be about, well, we provide you what you need, and that means you can't always have what you want. So all these expensive
things,
jackets, shoes that people are wearing, this new drip that this person has, you may not be able to keep up with them, because we're just giving to you what you need to make sure you're going to school and coming back fine, you're fed, and you have a shelter over your head. So I had an upbringing like that, and they never pressured me to go to university and stuff. I kind of just wanted that for myself, because I knew, yes, my parents are hardworking, they've done what they can to provide the life that I have, but I want to be able to be more comfortable and have more security for my children, so they feel like they can do the things that they want to do if need be.
So how do you think that coming from that sort of background, how do you think it's influenced you now? Does it influence you in your day-to-day life? Do you kind of think about it? Is it a motivator? Is it a hindrance? Like how has it influenced where you are now?
So at Warwick, there's a lot of these rich students that are coming from all backgrounds across the world that have their parents paying like a full ride of like 30,000 a year for them to study. So coming into that and seeing them with their little designer shoes, this and that, and they're wearing them like their everyday shoes, and I'm thinking, wow, shouldn't this be like a special item that you should be wearing for certain occasions, not when you're going to a lecture? So that was kind of like a shock, in like the sense, I feel like they came in more confident and self-assured, like they deserve to be here. But I got there and I was like, oh, like I'm just a little girl from South. Like I was on free school meals when you guys were probably getting jets to these different countries at that age.
It's almost like imposter syndrome, isn't it? Like you feel like, I don't even know how to act. How do I belong here?
Yeah.
But what type of person do you think it takes to not allow how you grew up or where you grew up to define how you live? Because I know that there are probably a lot of people out there who have maybe at some point in their life looked at where they've come from in terms of the area that they've lived in or the country that they're from, and looked at their parents and probably been like, do you know what, looking at what is around me, I'm probably not destined for much. So what type of person do you have to be to kind of escape from that mindset of I don't want to just live day to day, I don't want to just reinforce what has been happening and continue that for the next generation. How do you kind of escape from that and make sure that you are different, or you carve out a different way for yourself and the future generations to come after you?
I think you need a certain set of capabilities. So starting from resilience, just knowing that, okay, I've hit a wall, but I'm not going to let it stop me from carrying on. Also need to be very self-reflective and knowing that, okay, these are my strengths, so I should play to these strengths, and I shouldn't let any weaknesses, including my upbringing or background, define me or stop me from being the great person I know I can be. So making sure you're self-assured in that, and you have that confidence, and you know there's no giving up, because if you give up, you're just going to end up just like the people you don't want to be like, and you are going to be that other statistic that people expect from you.
Yeah.
So it's just about trying to redefine that.
Do you think you've always been like that, or do you think maybe there was a moment, like a turning point, where you thought, do you know what, okay, obviously I'm not like these people that are better off, I don't have the latest shoes, my parents didn't go to uni, where I'm from a humble beginning. Was there a moment that you kind of thought, you know what, but I'm going to use that to my advantage, rather than being like some people who may get quite disheartened and upset that they don't have the same as other people have?
I think it was just, I don't know if I could say there was a defining moment, but I always knew that I was very, well, I still like to say I'm pretty book smart, so I knew that was a strength that I should play towards, rather than letting something I can't control hinder me and stop me from going on to do more things.
Yeah.
So I think it's always kind of been in my mind that I want to, you know, keep going. I don't want to just let my upbringing be the reason why I'm stuck in that same place.
I think though that there are a lot of occasions where you might have that go-getter mentality and you do want to look towards, I guess, a better future for yourself. But quite often, even if you are thinking forward, you're a visionary, you know what you want for the future, quite often the people around you, and maybe the people who have the power to give you those opportunities, don't see that for yourself. So it could be someone maybe who has the power to maybe give you an internship, maybe, or someone who has the opportunity to give you something that will allow you to open another door for yourself, so that you can get out of whatever the situation that you're in. But sometimes they look at you and they almost stereotype you as, you know, you're not going to be successful, you don't look like what success looks like to me, or what I understand success to be. So you know what, I'm not going to provide you with those resources, I'm not going to provide you with that opportunity. And it's almost like, how do you win out of a situation like that? Because it's all good and well controlling what you can, but there's still those external forces that are way beyond your control, that are still everyday occurrence that still impact people. So
I think it's hard, and it's also like you have such a good like confidence, self-assurance about you, whether you kind of learnt that or it's something you've always had. But I think for me, coming from like, well, the family that I came from, I remember kind of growing up and just always thinking that people felt like they were like better than me. And I think obviously being young, that was kind of like, that hurt, because you know, like you're trying your best and they're putting you into this box, and it's almost like you either get out of that box and you ignore the more privileged people that even like now, even like in adult life, there's still kind of people that I think they're kind of better than you because they've come from a better family or they're doing X in their life, or do you know what I mean? It's a very kind of hard thing to accept, you know, like, do you know what, I wasn't born from wealth, and do you know what, I don't have all the latest designer stuff, and yet I don't have this and I don't have that, but still feel like, do you know what, I, in my own journey, have managed to do XYZ, if that makes sense. And I think that's what I get from you, that you're obviously at Warwick, and like you said, you're the girl from South East London who feels like she shouldn't be there, but the same way that the guy from, I don't know, Devon, that owns his parents own a £10 million house, got there the same way that you did, if that makes sense. And it's almost like, it's almost just kind of sitting back for a second and you'd be like, okay, obviously everyone is born from different
circumstances,
but it's just about, obviously you've made it to where you have, and just being more humble.
I think it's very much easier said than done though, because
yeah.
I think even if we remove the situation from like university and we think of it in an employment background, so I've spoken to friends and even like I think my partner's even mentioned it to me sometimes. He's like, how is it that I've come from where I've come from in terms of like grew up on an estate, like the circumstances that he came from, the family background that he came from, and things that he saw when he was younger, similar to my friend. How is it that he's ended up working in IT, in a good job, well paid? And it's like, how life as I saw it, this was not the path for me. I should have gone down a completely different path. And I think that you almost have to make a mental choice, and you have to almost mentally gear yourself up and talk to yourself every day and understand that what you are doing is almost bigger than you, and you need to serve a much bigger purpose than just you, because it's not just about you, because you even said it about yourself, like for you and your children, because you've seen how your parents have grown up and raised you, and you, like you said, you didn't want for nothing, you had everything you needed, but it's the nice to haves, all of the things that would be good for you to have, that would obviously fulfill you or enrich your life a little bit more. So I definitely feel like it's a mental choice, a mental decision that, you know, people need to make. And myself, in terms of my background, similar to yourself, like I remember just being in Tesco, like crying because I wanted like a magazine, and it was like a £4 magazine. My mum weren't having it. No, can't have it. So, and I like grew up in Tottenham, and at that time it was like crazy gang violence, all this crap. So my mum was like, no, we're not sending you to secondary school here. We're going to move you to Edmonton. So moved to North London, and then that wasn't like any better, to be honest. But then I could have very much like easily said, this is life for me.
This is it. This is like the ceiling for me.
This is it. And I think you definitely have to make like a mental choice, a mental decision to be better, because it's so easy to be around people who have come from the same place, and their ambitions may not be the same as yours, but then if you're not mentally strong, how do you escape from that? Because it's very easy to be comfortable and fall into the expectations that other people have of themselves and make them your own. And so I just think like it's definitely about a mental decision. But what about those who kind of want to escape and live a better life, but then don't know where to start?
I think anyone, like no one can tell me from my own experience or from people that I've seen that you can't outgrow the situation that you're in, or you can't be better than the situation you're in, or what you are born into, or what you found yourself into. But I think in terms of starting, it's kind of just the acceptance of, okay, this is the card I was dealt with, whether it's shit or brilliant, this is the card that I was dealt with. You can't control what family you have or what you're born into, what wealth you have. Like, you can't control that. You're just born, you're raised. And do you know what I mean? Like, all three of us, like, we weren't born from wealth, but we're three, like, decent, successful, like, women. So
if I must say so
if
myself.
I mean,
you know, I've just been doing what I can do, really.
But it's kind of like, okay, so like this was my path. So, but like, I can go two ways. I could create my own path and create success for myself, or I can just follow the path that statistically I should be following, or that people wouldn't blame me for. And I always, it's bad, but she ain't gonna watch this, so it don't matter. I always put like the comparison between like me and my sister. So we're like 13 months apart. We're like, so like, do you remember my sister?
Yeah.
So we're like a year apart. We're pretty much the same age, the exact same upbringing, the exact same kind of...
All circumstances
were the same. No one was favoured. I didn't get more than her. She didn't get more than me. Exactly the same. Like, born on the same pedestal, if you like. Yeah. Well, not pedestal, that's up, so whatever.
whatever's down here.
Down here, whatever that is. Below the pedestal, I'm joking. And when you look at us now as adults, we are two completely different people.
In every single way.
In every single sense in the whole wide world. Now, there's a lot of, like, resentment and a lot of, like, we don't have a brilliant relationship now, but...
So what happened? So what for you was that where was the juncture? Because there's always, like you said, there's two paths. There's the path where, do you know what, I'm going to make a decision, I want better for myself. Or the easy path, the comfortable path, which is I'm just going to follow the road that was carved out for me, which is more often than not the path that most of the people around you will go down.
Because it's easiest.
Because it's the easiest.
Yeah.
And so that path to creating something new, it's lonely, it's hard.
Yeah.
And because it's a new path, quite often, no one that you know has done it before. So there's no blueprint for you to follow. Whereas if you come from that background where there is wealth or there is, you know, experiences, you've always got an uncle or an auntie or a friend of a friend who's done it before. So it's easier. You can just give them a call and say, oh, how did you do this? How did you do this? Even something small as like getting a mortgage for some people or getting their own house. Like sometimes you're the first in a generation of 2, 3 generations of getting your own house. So where was that juncture? What happened where it just went like this for you and your sister?
I don't know. I think as we, like, obviously when you grow up, you know things, you know what's right from wrong, but like, obviously I grew up, like my dad used to hit my mum or whatever, but when you're young, it's kind of like you don't really know any different. You know it's not right, but you're still, your mind is still very young and still developing. And it wasn't until we got to like teenage years, and I kind of like, I am very book smart as well at school, so I liked the...
Hold on. Is that true?
Oh, yeah. We got the receipts. Don't worry.
I'm just joking.
Sat on the same table.
On the smart table. I'm done, miss. I would like another worksheet, please.
That's exactly how it was. We got the hard worksheets and everyone else got different worksheets to us. But anyway, I was very book smart, so I liked kind of feeling success, even though it's in school, like your teachers praising you, our mum used to praise me, like
that's where it starts.
That's where it starts. Like I got addicted to like kind of this feeling of doing well and being praised for it, and kind of opening my eyes up. Okay, if I can get good grades, I can get a good job. If I get a good job, I get money. If I get good money, I can have a good life. Like, and that's kind of where it started for me. And as soon as I kind of, like, in the beginning years of school, I was probably like a bit like in secondary school, like 7, 8, 9. I was probably a bit like Leery. I was probably a bit leery. I was very kind of hated the world, and I hated teachers, and I hated everyone. I had like a chip on my shoulder, and it wasn't until I kind of thought, okay, like, just get rid of it because it ain't doing me any good. So let me focus on my work and focus on the bigger picture. And that's what happened for me. And obviously it started from school, and now from school, like, I did work experience in a law firm, went to uni, did my A-levels, like, got good grades, blah, blah, blah. And I'm at the position now where I've worked hard enough where I could set my own, like, stuff up, and just kind of, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm very close to getting there. My sister went to a different school. She went to an all-girls school. She got into fights, you know, like DTC or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
She got into loads of fights
what
with
does that
girls. Oh, they were just not good.
You just know there's a reputation behind the...
Okay. They, like, she got into loads of fights, fell into, like, a marriage, got married at, like, 17, 18. I think she just found herself very unhappy, very kind of, poor me, this is the situation. And now we have a lot of resentment now. Whereas whenever she talks to, like, my mum, it'll be like, oh, well, Chanel was your favourite and you helped her out, and everyone thinks that Chanel's the favourite child and I'm the ugly duckling, or she went to uni but I can't get a job because I've got PTSD from what happened to me or what I saw and things like that. And it's kind of like, if she was to reach out to me and be like, look, I want to do this, can you help me? Whether we have a great relationship or not, I'm going to be like, yeah, sure, because
she's your sister.
That's my sister. But instead of coming with the bad energy, like, oh yeah, like, you're the favourite and you got help.
This is hitting so close to home right now. Cause
do you know what I mean? Like, I'm the ugly duckling.
Because I have a twin sister, and I feel like that.
You're a twin?
Yes.
You're not a twin?
Yeah. Not identical.
But they're not identical, no.
Yeah. Okay, go on.
But weird.
So are you guys very different?
Yeah.
Just I love hearing
everything,
stories like this.
Like everything she just said is like, it's hitting home. Like,
we're
wow.
so different.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted I'm just very quite independent anyway. I've always been independent. So I obviously started whatever I wanted to start, and she's very, like, needy. She's older than me, but her mental, like, maturity is stopped at kind of 16, 17. Like, the whole PTSD thing, like, she let her circumstance control her life now. Whereas I thought, like, if I go that way, and if I do stuff, like, if I wanted to do drinks and drugs and like be a bit of a bum, then nobody could tell me that they couldn't understand why, if that makes sense. People would be like, do you know what, she had a hard upbringing, so I understand, but why do I want people to like feel pity for me and understand it? I want to be like, do you know what, I'm the girl that broke out of them barriers and I proved everyone wrong, and then if I ever do bump into my dad later on in life, do you know what I mean, he's gonna be looking, literally thinking, shit, she did well for herself, innit? Rather than thinking, oh, look at her, do you know what I mean? Like, if you let that person win, or you let your circumstances win, you let your upbringing win, if it's a specific person, you let them win, do you know what I mean? Your money circumstances, you let all of that win if you decide to give into it, instead of just getting up off your arse and thinking you want a better life, so why are you not doing anything about it?
I think a lot of the time as well, from people's background or their circumstances, sometimes they don't feel empowered enough to feel like, do you know what, I can actually get up and go and get it. I can actually get up tomorrow and change my life. And I feel like sometimes people wait for this moment, this miraculous thing,
this light bulb moment,
where light bulb moments happen.
But with this, I think it's very unstable to rely on that, because you need to make the choice one day to be like, I'm choosing this.
Yes, so it's that mental decision, but I feel like people often wait for things to just fall into their lap before they, you know, make a choice, rather than just saying, okay, do you know what, my upbringing was shit, this is what I had to go through, school wasn't great, this is what happened to me, but guess what, that was then, this is now, I'm going to carve a new path for myself. And I often feel like it's because people who often have difficult lives have experienced some form of disadvantage, and often that disadvantage, whether you want to face it or not, I think does impact you in one way or another, whether that's your confidence, and quite often you don't feel empowered to feel like, I can change my life, because we haven't been taught in school that you are the master of your destiny. It's always, you're in this system, you got to take this exam, and it's like the schedule of life is set out for you, and we've followed that since we've been in nursery. That structure has always been there. And so it's almost like we wait for this structure, or we wait for this opportunity to provide us with the new path, rather than seeking the new path for ourselves. But then my question is, what happens to those people who, like yourself, book smart, did really well in school, got the good grades, and should have been successful? Because there's a lot of these people that I know, especially from school, but then you look at them now and you're like, we came from the same place. We lived in the same area. We were on the same table in maths. We did the same worksheets. We sat the same exam. How can I be like however I am? Not saying myself, but then we're just so completely like different.
But
and it blows my mind. It literally blows my mind. I was speaking to Renelle about this the other day. So, you know, Renelle was on our podcast and we were just like reminiscing on school days and just looking at old pictures, and we were just going through each person. It was like, this person does this person does that, this person does this, and it's like, we're a group of 15 of us in this picture, and we came from the same place. Everything was the same pretty much, but we're all so different now.
But that's why it's mad, like we were saying, you can't, like, obviously school you're the same, but you're all still different, because you don't know someone's like backstory and blah blah blah. But the same with like me and Taylor, there's two sisters, bloody twins, that are growing up exactly the same but are so different. I'd be interested to hear
more about that,
more about yours.
So you know how you asked Chanel about like, when was like that point where you both just so I'd say it was probably secondary school, really, because I came from another school before meeting Chanel. So at that point,
did you get kicked out?
Yeah.
Did you?
Wait, she get kicked out?
No, did you get kicked out?
My sister got kicked out.
Oh, so you moved together?
Yeah. Okay. So like we moved area anyway. So
she had a fight or something?
It's the very thing. It was just like,
I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew it.
She was very. She was like
I'm a teacher,
terror. Yeah, so she would have been your worst nightmare, let me be honest. Yeah, she was. I remember from primary school, she would have a tantrum and they'd call me from my little classroom to go and get her from under the table. Like, she was a nightmare.
Okay.
And that kind of progressed and carried on. And then in like year 7, my parents split up, so that kind of stuck with her again. That was the part where I chose to do this, she chose to do that. So she just started being really disobedient, just very rebellious, and just That word, keyword of the day.
Why did she say Larry?
Larry, yeah.
So she'd be chilling with like the older kids that are like smoking behind the schools and stuff, where I'd just be there, in my classes, on the top table, all that, in my books and stuff. And then that was when I kind of knew, I can see my sister's doing this, she's acting out. Because any psychologist would be like, yes, it was the parents breaking up that made her do this. But I didn't do that. I actively chose within myself, I didn't want to be that person that allows those things to hold me back.
Why didn't you go to the same school?
Because when you get kicked out, you don't go to normal school.
Oh.
Yeah.
You go to
special school.
Yeah.
But yeah, she went to another school, and then I came to obviously your school, and then that's where we met and stuff. But yeah, from there it was just, even then when I got to that school, they put me in bottom set because they just didn't believe in my abilities for some reason. It's not like I had bad grades at that point either. They were just like, oh, let's just put her here. So when I went from bottom set to top set in my science, I was like, yeah, you guys are going to put respect to my name from now. And this is me showing you that, okay, you guys know that I've come from this different area. I've had a twin sister that's been kicked out, but I'm not going to let you guys or this situation make me feel like I can't be the top of the class or be that person that gets them great GCSEs. And it kind of just went from there. So yeah.
What advice would you give to someone like your sister or like anyone else who's kind of sitting there watching or may come across this video that is from not ideal backgrounds
and at that juncture
juncture where they're like, well, I can go this way and I can follow whatever path has been laid out for me, or I can, do you know what, I can just break down this barrier, form my own path, say fuck it, adios to everyone.
I think I would just say choose you. Because if you're letting yourself go down that path that was crafted for you by your past experiences, then that's not you choosing yourself. That's you choosing what society says about people from backgrounds like you. So choose you. Wake up every day knowing, I'm choosing me. I'm choosing this future that is bright ahead of me. And you need to know that it's an ongoing thing. Like I wake up every day and know, okay, I have to get it today in some way or not. You know? So you need to remember that's a daily thing. And it's not just going to happen in one night. It's not going to happen maybe even in a year. It's just a constant journey that you need to stay on that path. You may fall off here and there, but that's okay. We're human. Just know that your destination is this and you want to do anything you can do to get there.
Yeah, for sure.
You, Shin?
It's a bit hard for me.
Why?
I don't know, because obviously I don't have a twin sister or a sister
but
or anything.
You
but
see a lot of kids in school
I
where
do,
they're probably
and
coming at that crossroad.
And
what would you say to the kids that you can probably think of from your school that you can literally see that transition of them? Obviously, you know them from year 7 to 13.
To be honest, I'd be like, come here, come. Come sit in my office.
Come in my office.
Yeah. I'd be like, come. Come to my office. I've probably seen them doing something bad in the corridors. So I'd be like, what are you doing? In the exact same way, I'd be like, what are you doing?
We needed a teacher like her.
Yeah, no, because teachers are literally so important for this.
What do you mean, miss? What do you mean, what do I mean? And the thing is that this is how I speak to my students, and I feel like this is why, like, it sounds weird, but I feel like this is why they respect me, because yeah, I can be your teacher, but I'm also going to be your life mentor. So if you want me to help you in life, you better know I'm going to hold you accountable. So what are you doing?
They need to know they're going to hear things they don't want to hear.
100%. And I think for me, like, a lot of my sixth formers, or well, my previous sixth formers, they had every reason to not be going to uni. They tough childhoods. Some of them couldn't. There's one kid as well. I'm actually going to put his GoFundMe here as well because he would really appreciate it. But basically, him and his family escaped from Nigeria, trying to basically get away from Boko Haram. So they came here. That just gave me chills, by the way. Yeah, but they came here and he got accepted into Warwick for biomedical science. And but student finance only just told him last week that he is not eligible for student finance.
What, a couple of weeks before they start uni?
Because basically he hasn't been here for like a certain amount of time.
I've heard about this one. Something like this happened to one of my friends as well.
And he is like, if you have in your mind what the perfect student looks like, it's him. Like, he's just so on it. You can tell he comes from a good family, just wants to do well. And he's just like, miss, I want to do medicine. I want to help people. And it's just like, we need more of you in the world. And student finance
is going to stop
stopping you. My man made a GoFundMe.
Good.
He's got $8,000 now. Probably last time I checked, he's probably got $8,000. He had $8,000, but I'm hoping that he's got more now. But it's just like, in that scenario, I would just say, like, to him, I would just say keep going, because you are the epitome of what it means to escape your circumstances. Like, you have physically done it, and there's so many hurdles in the road. Student finance don't want to give you no money. Scholarships have all ended now, so there's no grants available and all this stuff. There is every reason for you to give up, but you have miraculously found every reason to continue. And it's because you know you want better for your life, you know you want better for your family. So my advice would just be literally asking yourself, what do you want from life? And quite frankly, do you want to be a bum, or do you not want to be a bum? Because that's what it comes down to. In life, there's winners and there's losers. Whether you like it or not, in life, there's people that are not in great jobs, and there's people who are in good jobs. Whether it's a job or a business or whatever it is you want to do, there's a hierarchy in life that is ever present. And so you are the only person who decides where you fit in that hierarchy. So if you continue down the path that you're going down, where do you fit in this hierarchy? Bottom, middle, or top? Because that's what it's about. And even this stuff now happening with the grades and all of this type of stuff, how can my students be given a teacher grade of a C, but the government all of a sudden have this algorithm where it spits out a U at the end of it? So the disadvantage is being reiterated, it's being repeated. So are you going to let that hold you back, or are you going to try and do something to change it? So I would just say, ask yourself, what do you want from life, and where do you fit into the hierarchy? Because if you don't like where you are now, something needs to change, and I'm not going to change it for you. You're not going to change it. Your families can't change it. The only person who can change it is you. So listen, wake up, smell the coffee, and get a fucking move on.
Period.
Thank you for listening to another episode of The High Grade. If you are watching, please like the video. If you haven't subscribed, please fucking subscribe, because enough of you are watching the video and you're not showing us any love. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. If you want to add our personal Instagrams, it's at @ChanelB_
and at Chanel__.
And at Taiyla CHJ.
Perfect. See you later.